Friends, welcome back to my show, Immigrant Corner. I have a special guest here. She's an amazing lady. She's hardworking. She does have a lot of enthusiasm. She has passion, and she is also the president of Loudoun County Republicans Women's Club. I will let her introduce herself and what she's about. I'm gonna bring in Patti Menders. Patti, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you to this point to become the
First of
president
all,
of the Women's Club.
I've got to tell your audience that we absolutely love you. Your dynamic, fierce speech at the Loudoun County School Board was freaking amazing. I remember after you spoke, we were all like, oh my gosh, who the heck is this guy? And we wanted to find you. And you're an immigrant. My parents are immigrants. And I was like, I've got to call him Master from now on.
My wife does that all the time. She does that often now. So
That's awesome. So I am Patti Hidalgo Menders. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm what they call an activist by mishap, really. I'm a mother of 6 sons, believe it or not. My husband and he had 3 sons. I had 3 sons, brought them together, and now we have 6. Their ages 17 to 23.
wow.
So during COVID, I was at Wegmans and Costco a lot just to keep food here. So I'm a mom first, and that is one reason that I kind of got involved in this fight to help our children.
Yes.
And then you did mention that I am the president of the Loudoun County Republican Women's Club, and we're the largest in Virginia. And we grew for many different reasons, but I think, like you said, my passion and excitement and positivity kind of drew people in. You're even an associate member. But
New one.
yes, we have probably 80 men in our club.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. But I think our club grew so much because of this Democrat control here in Loudoun and here in Virginia. And a lot of people felt the need to be in a place where they could be accepted, make a difference. And that's why our club is kind of an option for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, and then my third title, activist, we can go into the story of how this happened, but basically the Democrats blacklisted me and I came out. I pushed back.
Yeah. Yes. That is actually what we need to do is basically push back against these people who are trying to be they call us bullies, but they're the actual bullies. We're gonna jump into it because we need to talk about this as being the newest thing that happened about Beth Bart's resigning, and what is happening with the case. Is the case still going through? Is it gonna still go through the courts, or we're gonna pause it and focus on somebody else?
So let me give your audience a little recap. I'm a Loudoun County resident. I've been here for 23 years. I grew all my 3 sons here. I was a single mom here, living paycheck to paycheck. I'm Catholic. I still kept faith in my boys' lives. 2 of my sons have already graduated through Loudoun County schools. They took AP classes, dual enrollment. They had class ranking. It was an amazing school system. And something happened about 2 years ago when we noticed a dramatic shift in our elected officials, which ultimately affects all of us. So do you remember a little over 2 years ago when Governor Northam, who's the Democrat governor, had that little problem with the blackface or the KKK hat in his medical yearbook? Yeah. And I remember I thought for sure he was not going to stay as our governor. But the Democrat caucus, which is down in Richmond, we believe that they decided to own him. And then the other two gentlemen got in trouble. Lieutenant Governor had sexual escapades and got in trouble.
Yeah,
And
but
then
nothing happened with that, though.
nothing. Everything with the Democrats have always dropped. And then the third was the Attorney General. He too had some issues claiming racism, or people claimed racism on him.
Right.
So fast forward, Loudoun County 2 years ago, our school board pretty much flips. It went from a conservative majority to a liberal majority pretty quickly. So at the time, it was 7 Democrats to 2 Republicans. Now, a school board is supposed to be nonpartisan. This is why it gets really tricky. So when, Northam was having his issues, I don't know if you remember 2 years ago at a school nearby, there was an incident with the PE teacher, and she was teaching the kids a game called the Underground Railroad. Now, you can imagine, it sounds really fishy, a little weird. Like, why would a teacher teach the kids from a slave's point of view what it's like to escape and pretend to get chased and go through tunnels? And it's really inappropriate, right? Well, this game is actually in an equity consultant's how-to book on how to implement critical race theory into a school system.
Wow.
And guess who hired that equity consultant? Loudoun County. It's very unclear if it was January or March of last year, but around that time, the NAACP asked Herring, who's the Attorney General, to do an investigation here, and they found racism in Loudoun County. So here, fast forward, we're spending tons of money for these equity consultants, and our school board gets to work implementing things quickly. They hire equity consultants, tons of money. Every school has student equity ambassadors. Every child can fill out the bias reporting, which is an anonymous way of really tattletaling on each other.
Yeah.
And then we as parents were so preoccupied with just getting our children back to in-person learning. So we showed up to the school board just like you did, and we just asked for a plan. And they just ignored us, and we didn't understand why they really weren't listening to us. We would send emails to them, show up at school board meetings. Long story short, Beth Bartz, our favorite school board member, she asked these parents and teachers, do you remember the name of that Facebook page called the Anti-Racist Parents of Loudoun County?
Yes, I remember
she
that.
said, poor me. All these these parents are coming to the school board. I wish I could find out who they were so we could stop them. And in the meantime, these people started to list all of the parents who showed up at the school board meeting. They put 3 pictures of me, my first and last name, my husband's name, where my son goes to high school, what town I live in. They wanted to come to my neighborhood with a megaphone and call me a racist. And they wanted to send postcards to my neighbors and call me a racist.
Wow.
So that was the first time that parents like you and me got involved and started to understand what was being implemented in our schools.
That is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. I remember what was happening. My wife and I were actually following the story closely, and we didn't know if I don't think I was. I think I was part of the group, the conservative LCPS Facebook group. I don't know how they were targeting each individual. What was their trigger point?
They targeted us because Beth Bartz asked them to find out who the parents were that were attending the school board meetings during public comments, and they wanted to make a list of us. Yeah. So as you know, being president of such a large club, I had many people in that group. this Facebook group, and they took screenshot after screenshot. And that day I remember being inundated, and I'm reading and I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are so mean. And they're listing all of our names. They called me disgusting. They called me racist. They called me a twatopus. I don't know what that means, but they were trying to intimidate and silence us.
Yeah.
So guess what? Parents decided to organize. We decided to attend, more school board meetings twice a month. Fight for Schools, which is the organization that Ian Pryor created. They started to FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and find out text messages, emails, who these people are that were doing this to us. And it all went back to Beth Bartz. We also uncovered an email exchange or a text exchange between Brenda Sheridan, the chair of the school board, and Beth Bartz, saying it's war with the parents. And then one of their minority consultants, they said on Twitter, they needed to silence the opposition. Can you imagine? We're paying these consultants. They say they want to silence us. The school board, who we elected, said that it's war with the parents. I mean, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, and they didn't listen to us still.
Yeah. Well,
so we made it public. We went national news. I'm sure you've seen Ian and I and several other parents. We've been going nonstop.
Yeah. No, I definitely have seen the crowd grow.
Yes.
And I've definitely seen, and I'm actually noticing that Loudoun County became ground zero for these for parents standing up, because I think I forgot the gentleman's name. He was on. He's the first one to actually started this whole thing when.
Scott Mineo.
Yes, Scott.
He's with Parents Against Critical Theory.
Yes. So then it was Mr. Tanner who got suspended.
Yes.
Then, it was just one thing after another. And Mr. Tanner is actually my kid's teacher.
Awesome.
He's a very nice guy. I have spoken with him. He's a very nice guy. And but it's sad because they treat him like an outsider, as if he hasn't worked in that school before. So, but yeah, I think what's happening with the school board is they are very partisan. Although I have to say, maybe at least one of the members, he doesn't agree with them. But
no.
It's majority versus minority, right? So that's how it is. So the question lies here: if majority of the parents want a different style of schooling, why are they only telling to the minority?
Correct.
I don't have anything against minority. My thing is, I think it should be uniform, but not change things that majority don't agree with.
Dimas, what this school board has done is they have used special interests and equity consultants and a very small vocal minority and only tailors to them. There are over 81,000 students in Loudoun County schools, and they are only preoccupied with this one. It is primarily race-based, and it's primarily gender-based. Yes. So they're pretty much dumbing down our education for this group to catch up, which to me, it doesn't make any sense, because in the schools, there's 46% whites, 28% Asian, 18% Hispanic, and only 7% blacks. So we still have a good mix of students, okay?
So 50%, 52% are non-white. The
Correct.
Majority.
Correct. And to be honest, that's okay. I've been a minority. Yeah, I've been a minority my whole life. I don't know if you knew this. My parents escaped communism in 1961. They left Cuba. Mm-hmm. And I was taught that education is how you get out of poverty, that this country, United States, has an amazing opportunity where you can live your life freely. You
Yes.
you can have your faith, you can have your family, your career, your job, and not have so much conditions on you.
Yeah.
But here in Loudoun County, they are implementing like more and more rules. So yes, we're pushing back against the critical race theory that they're trying to implement, which is basically dividing the children based on their skin color.
Yeah.
And they put us in buckets of either victims or oppressors. That to me is not a positive way to teach our children. I would love for them to get back to academics, focus on math, science, reading, preparing our children for their SAT, giving them good, solid life experiences, personal finance. Like, let's focus on academics. And
Absolutely. I
instead,
think that was my message too.
yes, let's get back to the basics of education. Let's prepare our children for college or trade school or whatever they want to do in life. But putting them in buckets of victims and oppressors is not going to prepare them. In fact, it's going to teach them hate. It's going to teach them to not like our country. It's going to teach them that they're going to be reliant on our government. My parents do not want me and my children to be reliant on the government.
Yeah.
They escaped that style of government.
You actually get sucked into it. That's the thing. I don't know if you saw it, but Sunday I was on TV with Fox and Friends, and
Awesome.
what happened was, they asked me a question, and our time is so limited we can't really answer every question they ask. They ask how was the board elected? How did it get to this point? And honestly, I'm gonna answer it now. I think we were sleeping the entire time.
Hello.
I think we
That's
were not.
exactly.
I don't think we were really aware. We Because we were under the impression that Loudoun County was one of the top-rated counties, the richest county in the United States. The school system rated third in the entire country.
Yep.
This and that, this and that. You know, then I find out, because now I have kids in school. Now I have a third grader and a fourth grader, and I realized, I was like, why aren't my kids being taught multiplication? Why are they being taught division? And my kids like, oh, that's for fifth grade. And today I was speaking to a former colleague of mine. They're like, no, Fairfax teaches multiplication division at third grade. I was like, why are they waiting two semesters to teach these kids multiplication and division? I do that at home. Like, when I'm driving with them, I practice with them how to do multiplications, simple math, simple stuff, simple steps, nothing crazy, not some complicated Formula One tactics or anything like that. No, simple math, simple all stuff.
Well, the joke is math is racist.
Well, yeah, we know that.
So instead of teaching accelerated math, this Virginia Department of Education gave out what they recommend, and Loudoun County had the option to embrace it or not. So they decided to not allow accelerated math, not allow valedictorians, not allow student ranking, to remove AP exams or classes until you're junior in high school. So we are basically dumbing down. And did you know that the Academy of Sciences is no longer merit based? It now is on a lottery.
Oh, that's nice.
They are changing the way our children need to work hard for their effort. And if they want these children to hate America and be reliant on the government, well, it will happen if this school board continues.
So I've been saying this for the past month or so. I've been saying defund the schools, get the kids out of the schools. I know this is tough because not everyone, not all the moms are at home. Some of the moms work. But I think if we take every kid out of school, homeschool them, get them out, defund the school, because if they don't have attendance, they can't fund it. They can't operate. The system
Well,
will crash.
have you heard of school choice?
Of course I have, but
Yeah,
they don't want to do that.
they don't want to do that, but Governor Youngkin is open to it. In fact, I think he wants to, education is his number one way to help Virginia. And he wants school choice. So the money associated in every county to that child can go with them to another school. And that would help. I mean, they're doing it in many other states. They're just not doing it here in Virginia.
It's actually it's very very sad. It's very sad because look, we have only eight charter schools in
Right.
Virginia. Our neighboring state, Maryland has 180.
Yes, I heard that.
They have 180 charter schools in Maryland. And Maryland doesn't really have a good track record in graduation or literacy.
Mm. But they
We're,
give children an option if they're not
right.
happy with the school in their
And
areas.
it blows my mind how Virginia only has eight. And I think part of the problem is, and this, I think see, a lot of people travel to Virginia because of work, because of the
Right.
government works and all that stuff. So there's not a lot of locals here.
Yeah,
And
we're all coming here.
many of them who come here, they bring their politics with them, they bring their ideology with them, they bring all this stuff with them. And unfortunately, what happens is it affects all the communities who've been here for a long time, the communities who actually want a better education system set in place versus ideology set in place.
Mm.
So I think that's the way I've seen it, because a lot of people who come here, they're not from here. I mean, including me.
I know. I'm from New Jersey.
But I mean, I've been here for 12 years now. I lived here for 12 years. I lived in Virginia for 12 years. So I'm not a new guy.
True.
And I didn't vote locally for the first 5 years because I didn't want to interfere with what was the system that was already in place, because I didn't know it well. I didn't want to have my ideas messing up of what's happening, what was already working. Then when you see a shift of how things are just going sideways, then you start getting involved.
Yes.
So when I first voted locally, I was like, this is not good. I mean, one thing good we have is we do have a lot of waste spending, but it's not being allocated to other programs, which is good. Our state taxes are still low. It's lower than anywhere else at this point.
Yeah, better than New York, New
Better
Jersey,
than New York, better than California, better than all these liberal states. But when a state turns blue, guess what goes up? Taxes. Guess what gets affected? The environment, the entire neighborhood, all the neighborhoods get affected, and that trickles down to the schools. They're the number one thing that gets affected.
Yes.
Because now everybody wants their own way of going to school. This hurts my feeling, that hurts my feeling. This shouldn't be included in there. That shouldn't be included in there. And this is why I think the Department of Education should be demolished altogether. They should not be in charge.
And the school board associations and the teacher unions.
Yes, I mean, good thing Virginia doesn't have a teachers union. Thank God. If we had a teachers union, we would have been screwed.
Well, there's one called the VE, isn't it the LEA? And then there's the national EA, national.
So there's a national one, but we don't have a state union.
Right.
So there's no teachers union, which is a great thing.
So you asked me, your first question to me was about Beth Bartz.
Yes.
And yes, Beth Bartz did choose to resign. I think there was a lot of pressure on her. I think it was more than she could handle. We did a lot of media. We did a lot of rallies. I would organize the rallies. Ian would do the media. We both kind of went on media, but we were organized. And we did file a recall, excuse me, we were in the process of going to court. The first judge recused himself because his children are in our Loudoun County schools. The second judge, Irby, has no children, and she was going to stay. Then Buddha Booberidge, the Commonwealth attorney, would not get off the case. And we had to prove, or Ian had to prove, and his lawyer, that she had complete conflict of interest.
Yeah.
The judge agreed that she needed to be recused. Then the Beth Bart's lawyer, Charlie King, wanted to dismiss the case. The judge said no. And Charlie tried to refuse Fight for School's lawyers, and the judge said no. So we actually had 3 wins on that last court date.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think what happened is some of the Democrat school board members turned on Beth Bartz, and she was planning on resigning. I am so happy that she made the right decision to leave us. I also am so happy that Andrew Hoyler was selected to be the Broad Run district chair. That's where I live, here in Broad Run. And he's a moderate. He told me, Patti, I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm not going to get involved in the Democrat or Republican. I'm going to stick to facts and common sense. And he's the one that already voted down many of the policies that this liberal school board wants to implement. So I think we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, this should not be a partisan fight.
This is our children.
I don't want my kids to be a partisan hacks.
No.
Being children. I want them to grow up as kids. Be kids. Learn your way on how to behave around other kids. I teach you respect. I teach you manners. And that's how you carry yourself in school. And, but if I say, hey, if you see this person and, they look like this, don't talk to them. I do not do that. That's not the way it's supposed to be.
No.
Okay. And when you have teachers who, this has come from California, you had Antifa teachers trying to indoctrinate kids for 6 months. They had 6 months to indoctrinate kids. You had other teacher again in California who were trying to have the kids pledge allegiance to the rainbow flag, and all this stuff. And you have a chemistry teacher, I think was in Utah. I believe it was in Utah, who she was engaging with the students, telling them your parents are dumb. Don't listen to your parents. You are smarter than your parents. When I hear that kind of stuff,
she got fired, by the way.
Yeah. A lot of children, regardless of where they are in life, their parents could be their idol. And the dad or the mom, it could be a single family home. Doesn't matter. I mean, a single parent home doesn't matter. The fact that you try to tell them that your parents are dumb, some kid looks at their dad like, he's the hero. He's the Mr. Know-it-all. He knows everything. Mom knows everything.
You're giving an example of what some teachers and administration is doing. They're removing the parents from being an educator of the child. They're breaking up the family.
Sorry, I don't call them educators. I call them teachers. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve that title. That's not a title you come up with. That's a title it's earned. And sorry to cut you off, but they keep saying we are educators. You are not educators. You're not educating. You're indoctrinating.
Correct.
That's not education. Teachers teach.
And you said it. I said, I think parents, whether we're conservative or not, we have been slacking when it came to local politics. We didn't get involved in the education process of who's actually teaching, who's actually in charge of decisions in our school. And this was a big wake-up call for a lot of parents. Now, there's a lot of Democrats that have joined my club. This issue has really incited them to get involved. And there's a lot of people that are independents, moderates, Democrats that have signed the recall. So we're reaching a broad group of parents that say enough. This is going too far. So I think with Beth Bartz resigning, Andrew Hoyler now on board, I really feel like we're heading in the right direction. We're still focused on removing critical race theory, indoctrination. They call it equity, diversity, culturally responsive training, whatever you call it. We're making it aware. Then they're pushing this transgender policy, which you spoke about, and it's a small group of students. And let's be sensitive to them, fine, but you can't have this small group make such change on 81,000 students. Let's get them their own bathrooms. They could use the teachers' lounges. We can keep them safe. But talk about safety. Dimas, do you want to go there with what happened at Stonebridge and then at Broad Run?
Before that, I think on the bathroom front.
Yes, that's where I'm heading.
I think the bathroom thing has been around for so long. It used to call it a porta potty. Everybody used it. One at a time. If that's what it's going to take, hey, let's put porta potties out in schools.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to take.
That's a smart way to do it.
I mean, that way, it's one person at a time. Make all the bathrooms in a form of a porta potty. One person at a time. Have, I don't know, 6, 7, 10 stalls somewhere outside, like a outhouse. I'm all for that. But that way you can't trap somebody in there. That way you can't walk in on somebody. And if that's what you want, sure, spend another $5 million on this change. Spend another $10 million. Loudoun County got $1 billion. $1 billion. Last election, $1 billion. What for? We were in COVID. We were right in the middle of COVID. What the hell were you spending money for when they were not even taking the kids back? And the unfortunate thing is with this whole thing is that girl who was assaulted by this
sexually assaulted and sodomized.
And the other girl at the other high school.
Same thing. This could have been prevented from the first time. Question lies here. Why? And this is what I was going to ask you. Now Beth Bart's gone. What's going to happen to the superintendent who covered up the whole story? Who overlooked the entire thing and moved that kid from one high school to another? Why wasn't that kid charged the first place? Because there was proof there. And why wasn't that kid expelled from the entire Loudoun County? Why wasn't that kid expelled? From what I understand, the incident occurred in the girls' bathroom. The girl went to the administration at the school. The principal was alerted. They called the parents. The mother got there first. The father came, found out what had happened, made a big stink. They wouldn't let him in the school. The sheriff's resource officer, who's right there at the school, he was alerted. The minute you alert him, that guy, the SRO, alerts the sheriff's department. There was a criminal investigation, and that kid was only 14 that did that to that girl. 14.
Unbelievable.
So there was an investigation. Now, the problem is Superintendent Ziegler did not take ownership. He said he did not know, but there's no way that our superintendent wouldn't have known. He is supposed to be aware of any criminal activity at any of our schools. And this family came to the school board meeting, which you were at as well, and it got shut down. He was arrested for misconduct, and he pressed charges. And we had this whole summer for the school to find out about this predator. And then they put the predator into another school where he did the exact same thing to another girl. And that's when the first family came out and said, this is unacceptable. And he's been in media and he's been trying to make his voice heard. And now we want the resignation and the firing of Superintendent Ziegler. He blamed the previous superintendent. He blamed Title IX, which is a policy based from the Richmond. Now, there is a House bill that was created by a Democrat called House Bill 257. And this allows principals and superintendents to not alert the law enforcement for certain crimes committed on school properties. Now, how scary is that? That a principal and a superintendent can keep it completely hush-hush and not let the law enforcement know. But in this situation, we know that law enforcement was called and there were criminal charges because the family showed me the documentation.
So
then
with that bill, sorry to cut you off. This thing just popped in my head. So with that bill, can we train our kids to become criminals in the schools? They just do whatever because they're not going to get in trouble anymore.
Well, that's one way of it.
Right?
We need to elect Republicans so that they're the majority and they can remove these bills.
I mean, that's an idea. I'm not saying do it, but this is something that they drafted up and they put in place.
This is why I'm not liking the Democrats in positions of power, because what they implement is not safe for the majority of the people. And this bill created that the principal can take charge of his own students. And some schools are too big. And if they've committed a crime, it needs to be reported and investigated. So we're also calling for an independent investigation. We don't want anyone in our school system to find out how this came about, who's to blame, why this kid was put back into our schools. We want an independent investigation. So we want Ziegler fired and we want an independent investigation.
Absolutely.
Now, we're still moving.
Call the FBI since
well,
since we're the domestic terrorists.
We're the domestic terrorists.
Why
yes.
we just called DOJ and FBI? I was like, hey guys, is this something that you guys do, or you just go after people who want to, get these people out?
Well, I'll tell you a little secret. Because of my coming out into the media, certain individuals contact me, strangers. And one was an ex-FBI guy. And he has a group of other ex-CIA and FBI agents that want to find if this school board had criminal activity within the last year. And so they're helping us figure it out before they go to the FBI with proof. But it is a joke now that Attorney General Garland said, let's call the parents domestic terrorists.
I mean, look, Patty, I said at the beginning, we were ground zero. We started this movement and it blew up, and they see how we are not violent. We are not, we're going about it as adults. And, when you, and here's my thought, when you sign up to become a school board member, this comes with the territory. You're going to have people that are going to yell at you.
That's right.
If that hurts your feelings, then that's not a right spot for you. Because you're going to have people from both sides of the aisle, or all sides of the aisle, come with like different things, throw different things at you, call you names, call you this and call you that. If you can't handle that, then that's not something you should be doing or you should be sitting to listen to. Same thing with politicians. Politicians say the same thing. Politicians sit there, they're gonna hear the rant of their constituents or other constituents or other people. They're gonna, call them names, do this, do this, do this. And if you don't have the backbones to take it, then that's not your place. Um, but when you title parents who are trying to make a point by saying you are interfering with the school system, with the school curriculum specifically, you are not, you are distracting the children from learning specific things to get ahead in life. Instead of teaching them craft, instead of teaching them uh, uh, some sort of skill to survive in life, how to start a fire, or how electricity works. Simple stuff. Nothing. I'm not saying like the kids coming out of high school should be NASA engineers or rocket engineers or anything. I mean, it'd be cool. They'd be 10 times smarter than anybody else coming out of high school, which is great. I would love that. But what they do is they keep taking stuff away because a small portion of children who are not motivated enough, who are not studying, who are not hard workers, the parents don't discipline them for not getting good grades or whatever it is, and they're not passing. So they go complain. They're like, oh, there's too much homework. So this curriculum is very hard. This should not be taught to 11th grade students. This is a college course. Why is it here? So what they do is they kind of dumb it down. They bring down the lever down, and they keep bringing it down. They keep bringing it to a point that all you have to do is learn your ABCs and count to 10, and you graduate high school.
In Oregon, they passed a very similar thing. You don't need to pass any of your tests to graduate with a
Yeah, there's
degree.
no more proficiency test. They took away proficiency tests. Georgia did the same thing. State of Georgia, no more proficiency tests. Basically, you could just show up to school, get your attendance down, and that's it. You're done. You don't have to study. You don't have to do homework. You don't have to take a test. And if you're taking a test, you can fail it. It doesn't matter. I think there was a student in Maryland, and he went all the way to high school with below 1 GPA. And when he came down to graduation, he couldn't graduate because he didn't know how to read. 17 years old, had to start high school all over again. And the mom was asking, how did he make it up here? And she's like, I work 3 jobs. I'm not home. That's a different issue, that's a different topic, a different day. But yeah, they did not communicate with the mom. They did not communicate with anybody. He just kept going up a grade, kept going up a grade, and that was it. So
How
that's how
sad.
they're doing it. I mean, I do, and I remember when I went to high school in the '90s as an immigrant. My brother and I, we did not speak a word of English, so we had to take ESL classes. Um, my ESL class, the high school I went to, was 90% Hispanic. 90%. The teacher was Hispanic. The teacher would communicate with the Hispanic kids in Spanish.
Here in
In
America.
in English class, English as second language. In ESL class, it was communicated in Spanish. So my brother and I think we had 3 or 4 Korean students with us, and we were it. We were the minority in the minority school. And we didn't understand Spanish. We didn't understand English. So we were forced to learn the language, English. So what happened was we ended up speaking English a lot faster than those students who were in class, and they were communicating with the teacher in Spanish versus in English. And I don't know what happened to those kids, but I don't think they advanced to anything else. But moral of the story is the kids needs to be challenged. This is why, if the schooling is hard, if education is hard, and it's not for everybody. And I'm not saying everybody has to go to college. No. Not everybody's made for college. I'm not. I wasn't made for college. I knew that from the get go. I hated school so much that I finished high school in 3 years. I
Ah,
just finished. I'm like, I started second semester of ninth grade. I graduated the first semester of 12th grade. That included summer school. I was like, I just want to be out of here. After that, I was like, I found myself. I know what I wanted to do. I did different jobs. Then I figured out how I'm going to get ahead in life. School wasn't just for me. And I'm not making myself as an example that everybody's going to make it in life, or, or be somebody in life that if you don't go to school. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are in school, focus on the curriculums.
it's about work ethic. It's
Yes.
about hard work. It's about effort. And I feel like in this culture today, parents believe the child when they say, oh, the teacher was too hard. She gave this. So what did the parents do? They go to the teacher and say, Bobby says that you're too hard. The class is too hard. And the teacher, that's what she hears all day is,
Yeah.
the parents don't encourage the child to work harder. Maybe you need a tutor. Maybe you need to go over there during office hours or whatever. But we're so used to giving a trophy to every child. You need to put in the effort. And that's the way I was raised. I'm an immigrant daughter. I was raised, you work hard, you study, you don't get anything below a B. I mean, it was mandatory. And discipline and schedule and routine, those are all good things for children.
And
And proven that a child with an incentive, with a determination, with an encouragement are going to do better than a child that has an excuse for everything. And a
and
child that keeps being passed through, like the child you described.
yeah, and
So,
I think this is why the Asian culture. There's a lot of smart Asian people because they come from a home of discipline.
yes,
Um, that's why you see a lot of immigrants who come to this country, for not first generation, but actual immigrants that actually thrive more than the first generation or second generation or third generation.
my parents did.
And and
Yeah,
and my kids are first generation,
so am
but
I.
but what I do with them is, even though I spoiled my kids because, I want to give them what I didn't have growing up, but I'm going to teach them to act like an immigrant, that you came from nothing and you have nothing,
And to appreciate
to
what we
appreciate
have.
everything you do, and not to whine about something that's hard, not to whine about something that's not working. Even though, when I was a kid, yeah, every child was like, oh, this is not working, and you got teary eye. Why isn't something working, or
But
why
that's
isn't
a child's point of view. And
right?
as adults, we need to tell them, I'm sorry, you get what you get. Or, you got to try harder. Like it's up to us as adults to put that work ethic into our children. And I'm so grateful that my parents raised me the way they did with hard work, our faith, our family, good values. They taught me to work hard. We didn't have a lot of money growing up.
Yeah,
My parents escaped Cuba. They came here. They were 21 and 26 years old. My oldest sister was 10 months old. My mom was 8 months pregnant. They gave birth 2 weeks after arriving. They lived in the projects of Atlanta, Georgia. My dad had the Catholic Charities help them, give them food and start on a job. My dad went and got his master's and PhD at Georgia Tech. And then that was their way out of poverty, was
yeah,
hard work, their faith and education. And it propelled them. And Dimas, I'm proud to say that my father retired at 60 years of age, a
amazing.
millionaire
That's
because of the
great.
hard work that he did.
That's great. He well deserved.
And
So Patty, what's next for you? What's the next biggest thing coming up?
so we are going to continue getting recall petition signatures.
Hmm.
We're very close. We just need to focus on the last two school board members. We're way over 100% for the others. The only reason we're recalling these people is they were the six that were in that anti-racist Facebook group and
Right.
just sat there and watched as they went after us. And that was a closed meeting. According to the bylaws,
Right.
if more than so many people, that means that's a meeting place for them. And it was not a private space. So we are still recalling. We want the resignation of Superintendent Ziegler. We now have to find people that want to be in the Leesburg district, which Beth Bart's just, kind of emptied.
Mm-hmm.
Our club is growing. I'm not leaving Loudoun County. This is an amazing area, and every parent needs to get involved.
Yes, I totally agree, and I would love to have you on my show again with more success stories. We have an election coming up.
Yes.
People
In
need to
fact, I
go out
wanted
and
to
vote.
mention Dimas
Yes.
McCullough, who is the Democrat candidate for governor. He said out loud, parents should not be involved in the schools or tell the teachers what they should do with our children. He said it out loud that parents do not belong in our schools to know what our children are learning.
This
And
is
this is an amazing opportunity to save Virginia. This election, November 2nd, is crucial to help the rest of America realize that we need to take back our country. We need to stop this cancel culture. We need to stop this critical race theory. We need to teach our children's work ethic. And Governor-elect, hopefully, Youngkin is the candidate for everyone.
yes. I think I personally I'm done with Democrats at this point. I myself, I like to think myself as a centrist conservative.
Most
I don't.
are.
I don't like to pick parties because being just a party voter, it kind of sucks because you just going with one idea and you don't want to give another idea a try. But yes, I think Youngkin is going to be a good candidate for Virginia, and I'm going to hold him to it. The stuff that he said he's going to do, he needs to do it,
Yep.
or else he's going to talk to me. I'm going to be in his face. You know, I don't. I'm not going to hold back anymore. I'm tired of holding back. I'm tired
Thank
of
you.
running. I don't want to run. I've ran from different country, different state. I'm tired.
That's right.
I don't want to leave when things are just going down the drain. I don't
Yep.
want to do that
We've
anymore.
got to save Virginia. That's my whole motto.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Patty, I'd like to thank you for coming on my show. I
Sure.
really appreciate it. I would love to bring you back on with more. Once we get a little bit further down the line with the school board members, I want to hear some good news. I'm tired of this bad news stuff. With COVID, with all this stuff, I think holidays are coming up. I think we just need to, just get the stress out and just
Well, you have to come to our club Christmas party. I will make sure you and your wife are there. Okay?
thank you, I appreciate it. Um, Thank you again, Patty,
Yes.
and we will talk soon.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, guys. That was Patty. I really enjoyed talking with her. She's an amazing lady. Thank you for watching, guys. Please share, subscribe, and hit the like button, hit the bell button, so we could get this word out. Please, please, please share this with your friends. And with that, God bless you. Take care.